The mysterious disappearance of Sally Grace Contarino. Las Vegas is a city built on movement. People arrive every day from all over the world. Tourists, gamblers, performers, families, solo travelers, each one chasing something different. Some come for excitement. Some come for escape. Some come to make memories they will talk about for the rest of their lives. But sometimes, a trip that begins with hope and adventure ends in confusion, fear, and unanswered questions. For one young traveler from Australia, that is exactly what happened. This is the story of 26-year-old Sally Grace Contarino, a woman who came to the United States for what should have been a memorable solo journey. A woman who was seen, documented, and tracked through parts of her trip. And then, suddenly, she was gone. If you enjoy real crime mysteries and unsolved cases, subscribe to Uncovered Crime Mysteries. The disappearance that continues to haunt her family, investigators, and everyone who has followed the case. Who is Sally Grace Contarino? Sally Grace Contarino is a 26-year-old woman from Australia. She's described as 5 feet 5 inches tall, around 130 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. In June 2026, she traveled alone to the United States for what appears to have been a solo vacation. A trip that took her through Las Vegas, up into the mountains at Mount Charleston, and down into parts of Southern California. Sally's family described her as adventurous and independent. She was old enough to travel on her own, confident enough to navigate a foreign country, and connected enough to keep in touch with loved ones back home. During her trip, she reportedly stayed in contact with family members and shared updates along the way. That contact stopped around June 20th. Nothing suggested that this trip would end in tragedy or in mystery. Las Vegas was one stop on her itinerary, but it was not supposed to be the final chapter. She had plans. She had a return flight. She had people waiting for her at home. And then, somewhere along the way, the trail went cold. The final days of her being seen. According to publicly reported information, Sally was seen on June 19th at Timbers Bar and Grill in Las Vegas before returning to her hostel. That sighting would become one of the last confirmed public moments in her known timeline. Later, she checked out of the hostel remotely. That detail has drawn attention because it suggests she may not have physically returned to the front desk or interacted with staff in person when leaving. Remote checkout is not unusual in modern travel, but in a missing person case, every detail becomes significant. Even more concerning, she never collected her luggage. For a traveler preparing to leave, luggage is usually one of the last things to disappear from the picture. A suitcase left behind can mean many things. Can mean a rushed departure. Can mean a change of plans. Can mean confusion. Or it can mean that something interrupted the normal sequence of events. The following day, communication with her family stopped. That silence would have been alarming on its own. For a young woman traveling internationally, a sudden break in contact can quickly raise concern, especially when family members are used to regular updates. Then came June 21. Sally had purchased a Greyhound bus ticket to Los Angeles, where she planned to catch her flight back to Australia. However, the ticket was never scanned, and police say there's no CCTV showing she boarded the bus. She never arrived at the airport. She never got on the plane. And once that flight departed without her, the situation shifted from worrying to urgent. At that point, her disappearance was officially reported, and an international search effort began. What had happened between her last confirmed sighting and the moment she failed to appear for her flight? Did she change her plans? Did she meet someone? Did she leave the area voluntarily? Or did something happen that prevented her from ever making it to the airport? Those are the questions that have remained at the center of the case ever since. The search begins. Once Sally was reported missing, investigators began piecing together her movements. Attention soon turned to the Mount Charleston area, where Sally was believed to have planned a visit. Mount Charleston is a striking but challenging environment. It is beautiful, remote, and deceptive in its scale. To the casual visitor, it may seem like a scenic escape from the heat and noise of Las Vegas. But for search teams, it presents a very different reality. Steep terrain, dense forest, rugged trails, changing weather, limited visibility in some areas, and vast stretches of land where a person can be difficult to locate. Even with a coordinated effort, search and rescue teams volunteers, and specially trained dogs were deployed to look for any sign of Sally. They searched trails, roads, and surrounding areas. They looked for clothing, footprints, personal belongings, or any clue that might indicate where she had gone. Google, a dropped item, a witness report, a camera image, a phone ping, a receipt, a vehicle sighting. Anything that helps narrow the timeline can become crucial. But despite extensive efforts, no confirmed trace of Sally has been publicly reported. No definitive public breakthrough. No widely confirmed recovery of belongings. No clear explanation for why she vanished. And that silence has made the case even more unsettling. Because when a person disappears in a city, there are often cameras, witnesses, and digital records. When a person disappears in the mountains, the landscape itself can swallow the trail. The search for Sally became not just a search for a missing traveler, but a race against time and terrain. What we know and what we don't. One of the hardest parts of any missing person case is separating confirmed facts from assumptions. In Sally's case, there are several publicly reported details that help establish the timeline. She was in Las Vegas. She was seen at Timbers Bar and Grill on June 19. She returned to her hostel. She checked out remotely. She did not collect her luggage. Her communication with family stopped the next day. She failed to appear for her scheduled flight on June 21, and after that, the trail becomes increasingly unclear. What happened in the hours between those events is still unknown. Did she leave the hostel and head toward Mount Charleston on her own? Did she meet someone she knew or someone she had just encountered? Did she become disoriented, delayed, or unable to contact anyone? Was there an accident? Was there a voluntary change in plans that was never communicated? These are the kinds of questions investigators must consider, but they are also the kinds of questions that can easily lead to speculation if there is no evidence to support them. And in a case like this, speculation can spread faster than facts. That is why authorities and family members often emphasize the importance of verified information. A missing person case is not a puzzle to be solved by rumor. It is a real-life emergency involving a real person, a real family, and real uncertainty. Every unconfirmed theory can distract from the search for truth. Every false lead can waste precious time, and every rumor can make an already painful situation even harder for the people waiting for answers. Internet speculation. As with many high-profile missing person cases, online speculation spread rapidly. In the age of social media, a disappearance can become a viral topic within hours. People share clips, analyze timelines, zoom in on screenshots, and build theories from fragments of information. In Sally's case, a video went viral online showing she was unknowingly captured in a video recorded through Meta smart glasses by a social media content creator known as Epic Damien Pav approaching a woman outside a 7-Eleven on Boulder Highway. A lot of people online assumed this was one of Sally's last public moments before vanishing. But a local page called Real Vegas Locals says it checked the file's metadata, and the clip was actually recorded on June 17, 3 days before Sally was last confirmed seen. Police have not linked the content creator to her disappearance in any way. Others tried to connect it to her disappearance in ways that went far beyond the available evidence. But investigators have not publicly linked the man or the encounter to her disappearance, and there is no publicly available evidence suggesting it played a role in the case. A brief interaction captured on video is not the same as proof of involvement. A viral clip is not the same as an investigation. And online attention is not the same as answers. In fact, the internet can sometimes make missing person cases more difficult to understand. People want closure. They want a villain. They want a neat explanation. Sometimes there is only a trail of incomplete information and a family left waiting. Authorities continue to encourage the public to rely on verified information rather than speculation. That advice is not just about protecting the integrity of the case. It is also about protecting the dignity of the person who is missing. Sally is not a rumor. She is not a thumbnail. She is not a theory. She is a young woman whose whereabouts remain unknown. The human cost. Behind every missing person case is a family living in a state of suspended grief. They are not able to fully mourn because there is no final answer. They are not able to fully hope because time keeps passing. They are left in the painful space between possibility and loss. For Sally's loved ones, the uncertainty is its own kind of torment. Every unanswered call matters. Every delayed update matters. Every new rumor can reopen the wound. When someone disappears far from home, the emotional burden becomes even heavier. There is the distance. There is the unfamiliar geography. There is the helplessness of knowing that the person you love may be somewhere you cannot reach. And there is the unbearable question that never really goes away. What happened? That question can echo for years. It can shape every holiday, every birthday, every ordinary day that should have been shared. It can turn a family's life into a waiting room. And for as long as Sally remains missing, her family continues to live with that uncertainty, an ongoing mystery. Las Vegas welcomes millions of visitors every year, and the overwhelming majority return home safely. It is a city of bright lights, constant motion, and endless possibility. But Sally Grace Contarino's disappearance is a reminder that even in a place filled with cameras, crowds, and activity, a person can still slip out of view. Her case remains unexplained. Her final movements remain unclear, and the question of what happened to her continues to linger. Was there a moment when the outcome could have changed? Was there a witness who has not yet come forward? Was there a clue overlooked in the rush of the search? Or is the answer still waiting somewhere in the landscape, hidden in the gap between what is known and what is not? Until new evidence emerges, those questions remain unanswered, and that is what makes this case so haunting. Not just the disappearance itself, but the silence that followed, the absence of closure, the empty space where a person should be. Sally Grace Contarino set out on a journey that should have ended with a flight home. Instead, it became a mystery that has yet to be solved. For her family, for investigators, and for everyone who has heard her story, the hope remains the same. That one day, the truth will come to light. That one day, the unanswered questions will finally be answered. And that one day, Sally's disappearance will no longer be a mystery. Until then, her case remains open. And her name remains a reminder that behind every missing person report is a life, a family, and a story that deserves to be remembered. At the time of this documentary, Sally Grace Contarino remains a missing person. If you have credible information about this case, contact the appropriate law enforcement agency. Subscribe for more true crime mysteries. What do you think happened? Let me know in the comments.